Some big brand stores are seeing their share prices plunge. Target is experiencing a huge decline with its consumer base, and Lululemon, once the go-to for athleisure wear, but high tariffs and growing competition is changing that and raising concern for the company's future.
Amrita Bhasin is a fashion and retail expert. She's here to talk about the impact of consumer behavior and how these brands could still potentially turn things around. So thank you for being with us this morning.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So we want to start with Lululemon because we're watching the stock. It's been going down for almost a year. In the beginning of the year, it was at around 400. Today, it's dropped significantly to about 160. Can you talk about what's contributing to this plunge? I've seen everything from Gen Zs no longer wearing leggings to there's bigger competition. What is really going on here?
So there's a few things. I think that Lululemon, the last few years, has really went from a decade ago being the only player in the athletic wear or yoga pants space to now there's significant competition. Like we look at brands like Alo and Vuori, and a lot of the younger Gen Z or Gen Alpha is shopping there, in part due because these brands have celebrity partnerships. They have influencer partnerships. They have college athletes who represent the brand. They're super active on TikTok Shop, on Instagram. And again, Lululemon hasn't really kept up with the social media trends. Their styles really haven't been innovated the last few years, and tariffs have hit the business particularly hard. They tend to manufacture overseas in countries like Vietnam, Cambodia, and Southeast Asia, so their prices have increased, but many consumers feel like the quality hasn't necessarily kept up.
Interesting. Yeah, you mentioned the competition. Another part of that is the dupe market, which there's really been a changing opinion on that. It was once looked down upon, and now it also
like, hey,
seems to be the thing.
$14.99.
Yeah,
it looks the same.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because a couple months ago, Lululemon actually sued Costco. They basically alleged that their zip-up jackets and their pants, like athletic pants and jackets, were so similar in aesthetic and look, like the way the seams were placed, where the zippers were placed, to Lululemon's, that an outsider wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. And this is a huge deal because we see that in times of economic instability, consumers are tightening their pockets around these kinds of purchases that are more premium. So if Costco can manufacture, produce, and distribute easily in their warehouse retail stores a item that is pretty much a fraction of the price of Lululemon, it's really hard for consumers to justify Lululemon's quality pricing. We see other stores like Trader Joe's has done a ton of dupes of beauty brands the last few years that have been doing really well, especially premium brands that are sold in Sephora. So we see the dupe culture has really started to gain a lot of attention, and brands are not happy about it.
I mean, I get where the brands aren't happy about it, but I really like picking up my stuff at Costco and Trader Joe's.
Also much cheaper.
Much cheaper.
Yeah.
We want to go ahead and talk about Target. The company, obviously, we've been talking for months, had rolled back its DEI initiatives, which seemingly cost investors billions. The foot traffic at Target has now shifted, as I'm talking about, to Costco. I do find myself there more. What's happening with the company?
It's a really big deal. I mean, like their market cap is pretty much a quarter of a company like TJ Maxx. I think what we see that Target, in many ways similar to Lululemon, has just not kept up with the trends. A lot of the younger generations feel like, especially on the apparel side, their clothing has gotten more and more expensive. Like the pricing is higher than many fast fashion brands that, again, are able to really meet users and meet consumers where they're at via social media marketing. We see that the boycott, we saw the rollback of some inclusive sizing. We also saw the rollback of inclusive beauty brands in store. A lot of consumers and customers just don't feel represented in the vision anymore. Like the way that Target has branded itself, the company needs to really like talk to the market, talk to consumers, and understand what their customers want, because it's not this current vision.
Yeah, so you're hinting they can turn it around, but they have to listen to customers.
I think that these two companies, Lululemon and Target, really need to invest in social media. Like it sounds simple, but like an older generation's Google search, like Google Shopping, is how they're discovering products. For Gen Z and Gen Alpha, it's TikTok search algorithm. Like we're seeing such an influx in customers discovering new products, discovering new brands via social media. Again, platforms like Instagram and TikTok. So if brands are not on these platforms, if they're not doing influencer partnerships, if they don't have like inclusive models, then younger generations just don't notice the brands. They don't know like what are the new trends at Lululemon, like what is the new back to school, like September, fall female fashion at Target. Like I don't know, because we don't see that being advertised. We don't see that being shown to us.
Yeah, as someone who shops via the influencers, I understand what you're saying. All right, Amrita, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
All right.